Welcome.
Yeah.
We're finally here. We've been talking about it. We've been talking about having our own podcast.
Yes.
Everyone's got a podcast these days.
Everyone's got a podcast.
Everyone is a DJ.
Yes.
Everyone is a sangoma.
It's not even good.
Now we also podcast.
Yes, let's podcast. Let's become a part of this mix. But
Right, yeah.
I think I'm very excited about it. My name is Macfarlane Muledi. I'm a broadcast journalist. Been doing this for more than 20 years. Incredibly excited about this. First time I'm podcasting. I feel like,
Right.
I'm a millennial almost. Like
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
those cool things that people are doing. But more than anything else, I think it's about sharing experiences, where we come from, what we've done. I think, your journey has been inspirational.
Yeah.
And I think some of the stuff that we've done could help a lot of people. And I think that's the main purpose of this. But ideally more to speak about health, wealth, wellness, and life in general.
Yeah. So the name of the podcast is Live Beyond.
Yeah?
Are we gonna stick with that, or are we gonna? I'm a big supporter of giving it over to audiences to decide. I mean, the content is made for them, so we can put it out to vote. We can decide.
Vote, but for now
we can vote about putting it out to vote.
No, let's make. I say Live Beyond, right? Because I think that's the campaign that we've been running.
Right.
Obviously, this podcast stems from that. We said, when our first campaign was a promise to Andre. The promise to Andre was then fulfilled.
Yeah.
Now it's about to Live Beyond. It's been an amazing journey for me. From Hanekile Munyane right up until where I am now, and I think. I've got incredible stories to share about school, about playing rugby, playing sport, being a part of that generation of firsts, first to go overseas in the family, first to be in the rugby team, first to do this. I think for us, I always call us, that generation of firsts, which also comes with its own burden. You know what I mean? Right. Because you're almost like the first one on TV in your family. Now all of a sudden you get invited to Mikete, and you now have to go sit with the uncles to make decisions about and you're like, guys, just because I'm on TV doesn't mean all of a sudden I've got the answers to everything. You know what I mean? So that sort of generation is very interesting, I think, and I hope one of these podcasts will be able to also unpack that. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's also always willing to take out time and help others around him. You do the introduction, because if I do, my eyes are going to well up with tears and I'm going to end up crying.
We are so honored to have you, and thank you for joining us on the Live Beyond podcast. Mr. Stephen Proudfoot.
Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you, Mac. Really appreciate the time to be here and to just really chat around, as you say, what makes a difference. A lot of people sit back in their daily work environment, and they say they want to make a difference to somebody and somebody else. Yeah, and they don't really get the chance. Right. And I just feel I'd like to tell a little bit of the story around myself, how I got involved. Yeah, and hopefully the rubble from this is that people get that internal drive to actually do something, and rather than talk about it, actually commit to doing something and making life better for other people. And the bug had bitten. I was like, I did my third triathlon is a full Ironman.
Yes. So did you start with the full Ironman, or did you do the halves first?
I had not done halves.
You've never done a half?
My first half Ironman was about 2 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you started, you also did the full Ironman?
I did 250, 150, and then went straight to Ironman. So this is the thing, right?
Yes.
And this applies with a lot of things, and not only endurance sport. And that's why it's such a big thing for me, is that the discipline that you learn, and the structure that you have to follow, you can take that and literally apply it to the rest of your life. You can apply it to work. If you're running a business, you apply those principles, you can apply them to your business. You can apply them to, if you're someone who's studying, right? Because it's like, it's such a structured life over a long period that, you just become that person.
Sport is a great balance. In this life we're living at the moment, I call it the rubber band syndrome. You can stretch a rubber band so far until something snaps.
Yes.
Right.
And if you don't have a balance between in your life and where we are so crazy with our work environment, and then without an outlet, we are going to get to a point that something's going to snap.
Yeah.
And therefore, that grounding with the ability to leverage sport and the discipline that's involved. I think in your in your podcast, you mentioned the discipline about getting up at 4:00 in the morning to go and run. But the benefits of that is you actually see the sunrise.
Right.
Your mind is
this theme comes up again, hey? You wake up and you see every single sunrise. 365 sunrises if you wake up every day. So here's the fuck up with that, right? Because you're still able to do these things, and I think it goes to having that sort of hard upbringing, right? That regardless of whether you're drunk, stoned, or whatever, you can still prove a point that, fuck it, I can do this. I can do this drunk, I can do this high, I can take a line of coke, wake up in the morning and go broadcast a show. And then you realize that, fuck, you can't carry on like this.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
When did that point come where you realize that it's either I'm going to stop this, I'm going to die, or I'm going to lose the people that I love? There must have been a turning point at some point, because this can spiral on for years and years. It's either you end up in the grave or in jail.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole thing is that I didn't learn. I honestly didn't learn. Mrs. was diagnosed. She was diagnosed with cancer in August 2009, passed away October 2010, and then it was just me and the three girls. So the girls were 8, 6, and 2 at the time. And I didn't learn. I thought I was a great father, so I would make lunches, school lunches, make dinners, put them into bed and then go out and get home 4 or 5 in the morning. So I didn't learn, to be honest. Not at all. It was really, I was a terrible father. Shocking. So they grew up with a drunk dad, which is exactly what I didn't want to happen. So to be honest, up until then, I hadn't learned. To this day, my sister's a clinical psychologist, and she took us to family law, and they were going to take the girls away from me.
Yeah.
And even then, I didn't learn. We left the family advocate meeting, and the lady said, I can take your kids away. I don't need a court order. I don't need anything. That's just the proof of your daughters talking to me and your sister. And they got in the car with my sister and went to my sister's place, and I went to the pub. So yeah, I didn't learn, to be honest.
Yeah.
So part of my story, it has a lot to do with her.
With your mom.
With my mom. I'm an only child. She raised me by herself. And so my mom saw an open land when she was going to work every day. She decided to put a shack there. Yeah. One man, a woman, actually.
She actually built it herself.
A woman put it up, one man.
Yes. She put the shack, and then opposite the shack, the open land, there was a residential area. So the people from the area came to chase her away, because where there is a squatter camp, there's going to be a whole lot of crime. Because now she's starting a squatter camp, right? Yes. She's like, but where am I going to go? I have a child, Maybe 2-3 days later, another shack came. Guess, women, two ladies. Then the whole squatter camp started building up. So my mom created a whole squatter camp just because she just saw an open land. 3 years later, the very same people that were chasing us away, they used to come to her for advice. If they are fighting with their husbands, she's the one who used to go there to help them. It's crazy.
It's crazy because, and think about the fact that it's obviously a problem, right? Yeah. The first thing that you do, they see this shack there, and all they think are, oh my God, they're coming to eat us.
There goes the neighborhood.
There goes the neighborhood.
Yes.
Yet that very same shack became a place of hope and solace for a lot of people.
100%.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Out there, yes. Yeah.
But your career has taken a different direction.
Actually,
from where you started, and it's not gone into space or criminal law, corporate law.
No, it hasn't. It has gone into public health law.
Tell us a bit about that.
Which is quite interesting because I did my PhD in I was looking at what they call plain packaging of tobacco products. So it's like putting graphics on cigarette packs.
Yes.
And it's like removing all the trademarks, the fancy logo designs on tobacco packs.
And this is all in your spare time?
No,
is this part of your
PhD?
work?
No, it's just my PhD. Yes. So that is what basically, when you want to do a PhD, you kind of like, you have to keep reading because you have to find something that just speaks to you.
Yeah.
So when I first came across that, I was like, okay,
yeah.
What about intellectual property? What about their trademarks? What about this, that? That's what got me into that space. I wasn't going there trying to be a tobacco control advocate. I was just going there to criticize this law, criticize this development, shut it down, almost like, from a scholarly perspective. That is how I got into tobacco control.
So it's actually raising funds for the families to be able to come and spend time with their loved ones. And I'm presupposing here that we're probably talking, when you're saying people from rural areas, we're talking about the poorest of the poor, predominantly black South Africans. Do you have any experience in terms of because we grew up in, I grew up in growing up in the township, I've hardly ever came across
somebody that
cancer.
It wasn't. One, I don't know whether it wasn't spoken of, but we didn't know what cancer was.
Right.
We had no idea.
Yeah. Is it just that it was probably never diagnosed or
misdiagnosed? For that matter.
Misdiagnosed. Right?
You've hit such a pertinent point in that early detection. Especially in childhood cancers, the recovery rate is so much more. But that awareness around cancer and getting into ground level around the people and making them aware of the early signs of cancer is paramount importance.
Yeah.
And that's also part and parcel of CHOC and what they do.
Yeah.
And trying to get into some of the clinics and promote that around early diagnosis and awareness.
Yeah.
It's really awareness.
So
of those
education.
symptoms.
Right, yeah.
To actually then really bring that kid in for an assessment. As soon as you bring that into the system, then there's a very good chance that there is full recovery.
So, Max, you realize that you can't leave the boy child behind, right? You think, but the safest way to do it is take them out the environment and get them off the streets. What happened then?
Yeah, so I went to the coach of the soccer team where my boys were somewhere, and then I asked him, like, what do you guys need as support, And he told me, like, the things that these people need are such basic things, I have a network of men that are willing to do these things for these kids, even though whenever busy, they don't have time. I'm going to use my my influence and speak to these men and ask them to support these boys. Guys, my foundation has been helped by men, especially the boy child.
Yes.
Every time I speak to any man, I say, my boys need this.
Done.
It's done.
Wow.
My soccer team is, it's in the township. I don't know if you guys have seen the soccer teams in the township. Those kids don't have
They don't have
socks,
they don't have socks,
they don't wear matching kits.
They don't have grass.
They don't have grass.
I can't imagine playing on with no soccer boots.
No soccer boots.
On
ground dome. It's not even a soccer
ground
field.
dome.
It's not a soccer field. Get ground dome.
Yeah. But since we've been involved, they have a soccer kit. They have away kit. They have the one where they play at home. They have a training one. They have everything actually. My coach is like, we are the only team in Bloemfontein from the township that is treated so professionally because of what we have. And with my team since last year, now we are on the league. Now there's a league that we are playing on. We are number 1.
So I think it's, obviously, so I went to I was in rehab, so you do the normal steps in rehab, the sort of the 12-step principle, which is doesn't matter what addiction you've got, it's based on the same thing. So whether it's cocaine, alcohol, eating disorder, it's all the same thing. It's the basic 12-step principle. So obviously followed that.
Yeah. Can I remind you of what they say, and I'm saying this because I don't want to forget it. 1 is too many, and 1,000 will never be enough. Yeah. I think for me at rehab, that was the most powerful thing that resonated and stayed with me for forever. That 1 is too many, and 1,000 will never be enough.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's something which, I know I've obviously got an addictive personality, so I've learned from that.
Stephen, living a life of purpose, right? Living life beyond who you are. As earlier on, we spoke about ticking off the bucket list, doing all of these wonderful adventures, etc., etc. But when you set your mind to doing something for others,
yes,
what does that do for you psychologically? What have you done purposely in your life to say, I'm now living beyond myself, and I'm now going to live for others? What propelled it? What inspires it? And what keeps you going?
Again, it's you can talk to anyone, and it's different for every individual. But for me, is just knowing that whatever efforts we're putting in is helping people out. I think in terms of the funds raised, we're not aware of who's getting the treatment, but knowingly that you've contributed to that is it is rewarding in terms of that we haven't sat back. We've actually got off our seats. We're doing things, and basically what that is doing is helping the society as a whole. And that's the most rewarding part about it. And it's not being an individual approach to it. It's a collective around what we are doing to help society. And everybody's got a struggle out there. And if you can just get off and do something that you enjoy. I mean, so really much the cycling is something that we continuously do. But the rub off or the benefits that you're doing for society and making a difference. It's that one step to do that.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it. Commit yourself to doing something that is going to do, like you did for Andre and the awareness around cycling safety. It's imperative that somebody's actually put their hand up to do it.
Yeah.
So if circumstances hadn't happened, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You wouldn't have, the whole promise to Andre wouldn't have happened if you hadn't have been in the circumstances that you'd been. It isn't about that. There's no, you shouldn't have regrets because it's got you to a certain spot right now. And my personal thing is I don't have regrets. It's I'm not proud of moments, 100%. There's a lot of things I'm not proud of, but I don't have regrets. I would have liked to maybe have done some things differently. But for me, how to grow and how to change things is how to deal with what you have done and the how to correct the incorrects.
Right. Yeah, so confidence, big confidence builder.
Definitely.
Endurance sport.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely. I think, you realize what you've done, most humans have never been able to do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think it's a confidence that you then carry through with everything because you realize that having suffered that pain and getting through that finish line, now I'm ready for any challenge that you can put in front of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that confidence really, really helps you. It stirs you on it. Whether it's that target that you want to reach, that client that you want to try and get, that deal that you want to close, and almost being able to walk into a meeting and feel that you can almost like command the room.
Yeah.
That you really do feel like a superhero because of what you've done. And I think you walk up, you walk straight, and it's even a great way to start a conversation. That, oh my God, you've done an Ironman. What did that take? Yeah. You sort of like tell the
Sometimes
story.
when you walk into a room, you can't wait for people to ask you.
Right?
Yeah. You start talking about your triathlon journey.
Yes. And I think there's a certain respect that it comes with because They, the people that know about Ironman, Ironman, they think you're like Tony Stark. Ironman,
No, they just stop at the swimming. They don't even talk about the bike or the running. It's the swimming.
So but those that know understand what it takes. Almost like something that you put on your CV. That I've done an Ironman. I think it's like it's a newfound respect. And thank you to everyone that has joined us. It's been absolutely amazing. And as you heard, it just takes that one decision. It takes that one decision that you need to make in your life to say, what can I do for somebody else? Because, waking up in the morning for yourself, coffee sounds better, the bed is warm. But if you're going out there and leading a purposeful life, you can actually make a difference and live beyond who we are and make a difference in other people's lives, man. It's absolutely amazing. Incredible. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Cheers. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Of course. Cool. Boom.
Are you sure?
Is it? Oh, we've got to take a pic. Let's take a pic.